So I'm trying a new thing, and I thought I was doing so good and lovely, and I wasn't live at all. So now I am. So, hey, everyone. Oh, here we are. So it's Tuesday. It's about a quarter after, and thought I was finished, and now I'm just starting. So, any of you who show up because you thought I was late, that's okay. We're good. So, ah, I'm excited. Um, I am, if you notice, if you look up on top, up at our page, you'll see that there's some new graphics, there's some new cover art that's there. The podcast has new cover art, and it's just letting you know that there's some changes going on at Imperfect Heroes and um, at the website as well for Little Hearts Academy. And so just watch for the new cover art. If you're looking for the podcast, you can still find us with our name, Imperfect Heroes, but it's more, it's different. So look for that. And yeah, there's some changes coming on. And so I hope that you'll enjoy them. In the next couple months, you're going to see a lot of new stuff rolling out, and that's going to be so fun. So we're going to have I don't know, probably in the next month, maybe early March, but we'll see. We're going to have Imperfect Heroes Insiders. That is going to be really fun for everybody who wants to join in and be a part of that. And you're going to get extra content from our guests. You're going to get book reviews. You're going to get new ideas and extra suggestions because what we're starting to, another change, is that we're going to be having themes for every month. And so, of course, next month is going to be love, but it's going to be, how do children feel loved? How are we making them feel loved? And surprisingly, it's not just like, oh, you're amazing. Oh, you're so good. Oh, you're fun. But it's different ways, and different kids feel love in different ways. And so we're going to be talking about all of that. How do they express love? And is kindness equivalent to love? Surely we show the people we love that we love them through acts of kindness, but do acts of kindness equal love? Is everyone that we're kind to, do we love them all? So we're going to have those discussions and those ideas next month in the podcast episodes. And so that's going to be fun. All right. Well, speaking of podcast episodes, we're going to be talking about this week's podcast episode. And it's episode 133. I know, can you believe we're getting up there? And it's with Kaley Metler. And Kaley was a rodeo queen star. She did a lot of rodeo stuff, which is actually how she met her husband. But her husband was a Canadian cowboy. So she is now a dual citizen. She lives in Canada, and she has developed and understood the need that kids need to be outside, even in Canada, even in the winter. Yes. And so she's developed a program for people who are homeschooling. And then she's also connected with community groups and schools, even, and help and develop programs to help kids be outside in Canada in the winter. So we've had it pretty cold here. We got up to 7 degrees today. Woohoo! Heat wave, right? But I'm now in a place that gets really cold. It was negative 27 this morning when we woke up, but we warmed up. We got to 7, and so where I am, we do get pretty cold. In Denver, when I lived in Denver, we just moved here in March, but it got really, cold, not like this, but still really cold. And then we lived there for 14 years. And then in Vegas, no, although we thought we would get really cold. Oh, it's 50 degrees. We're freezing. I've learned new. So, but the summers were the times when kids would often stay inside because it was too hot. And we were lucky enough to have a swimming pool, and that helped get our kids outside more, and, even a hot tub in Vegas. But, when it was cold in the winter at 50 degrees, we could heat it up and enjoy that. And So you really need to maybe think about what are the times of year when kids tend to, it's too much outside, either too hot or too cold. And you also need to think too that the ideas of what constitutes cold varies by where you live, right? So I have some friends that live up in Alaska, and the kids go outside to play for recess until it is 20 below. That's their cutoff, 20 below. And they wrap them up, put them in their coats, and out you go, right? Teachers go out, yeah, aides go out and observe and make sure everyone's, doing well, not fighting and not getting into dangerous things like climbing on top of the monkey bars and all that stuff. But that's their cutoff. Now, here, they don't even really do a snow day, right? They will cancel school at 20 below, but the kids don't go outside for recess if it's below 0. So that's their cutoff here. In Denver, when I was teaching in Denver, the cutoff for kids didn't go outside for recess at 20. If it was 20 degrees cold or colder, then it was an inside day. Now, then, we never had a cold day in Las Vegas. They just put their coats on and went outside. But they did do some year-round school for a time in Las Vegas, and so kids were out in the summer. And in August, July, even in September, there are a lot of days over 110. And so PTA is buying shade shelters for the kids to go and have some relief, at least in some shade. And they had water stations so that the kids could get some water and not overheat and dehydrate themselves. And I talked about this in the podcast, when I was a kid growing up in Los Angeles, if it was below 70 and I came to school without my coat, my mom got a phone call. Debbie forgot her coat. Could you please bring her a coat? So it's 65 and they send us out with our coats and we're ripping them off and throwing them down on the blacktop because we didn't want to wear our coats. And it's funny how even in Denver, we would be out watching our kids at recess or, whatever, outside time they had. And we're all snuggled up in our coats, the teachers are, and the kids are just ripping off their coats. And we had a table out on the playground and like put it on the table. And because they didn't care. Kids are so tolerant, much more tolerant to cold than we are. Well, and then you think, oh, they're going to get sick. They're going to get sick. Well, one of the things that Kaley was talking about is that they have found, and really there's a ton of studies that are out there actually, that even in the cold, when kids are outside on a daily basis and exerting themselves, running around, getting that exercise, getting that air, they actually build their immune systems and they get sick less. And so that's a great thing to really think about, is if you want your kids to get sick less, then have them outside. I can remember one year that I was in Denver, and gosh, it had to be like more than 10 years ago. But we had a mom, and she was very earthy and very into natural things. And her boy came to school in sandals all the time, and it would be cold. Sometimes even if there was a little bit of snow on the ground, he still had his hiking sandals on, and he didn't like socks. He didn't like his feet felt hot all the time. My feet are hot, and he would either have just a light jacket or no jacket very frequently. And and the teacher's like, oh my gosh, she needs to take better care of him, and da da da. But this kid was never sick. He never got sick. And so it was an interesting thing. And so really kind of concentrate on getting them out. Even if it seems a little cold for you, it's fine for the kids. And there's that saying that, and Kaley brought this up in the podcast, that there's no bad weather, there's only bad clothes. and and there's a lot of truth to that. Although I will say that, if it's 50 below and the wind is howling, that's bad weather. And I'm not sending my kids out in that. But and the wind, to me, that's for me, the wind is kind of a big factor because it'll whip through you. It can dehydrate you faster. It'll get through your clothes unless you've got some really good clothes. But even then, you're going to have exposed skin, when their nose starts hurting. So really think about what you can have out there. But even if it's super cold, they can still go out for even just 10 minutes. Give them that time outside to breathe. And another thing is, it was the first school that I was teaching at in Denver, and we had windows on both sides of our classroom. And every morning, I would open up those windows, and I would get that even if there was a storm going on, I would open up those windows, get that fresh air coming in, cleanse out the room, get some of that germ ick going on, and then we'd close them up and let the room heat up again before the kids came in. But I had a healthier classroom than the other ones that did not do that. I had a healthier classroom. We had less absenteeisms due to health than the others. So really think about this. So Kaley just has some great ideas, and she talks about some of the things that they have done in Canada to get the kids outside, to get them running. She has a running group, and the kids run all winter long. They have some people that have a pond, and they have the kids, these little cute kids, and they're just learning how to skate on the ice. And as they get older, they start playing a little hockey on it, and so they have parents go out to check the ice to make sure that it's frozen enough for the kids to be on it. I don't think I want to be that parent that goes out there to check, but they've got it all figured out on how they're doing it. I know kids in the Northeast, they play hockey outside on the ponds. I know my husband, who grew up in Utah, he learned to ice skate on the frozen canals in there's a place, well, you don't need to know, but yeah, there were frozen canals in the area where he was growing up, and they would skate on the frozen canals in the winter. And so there are a lot of things that we can do. There's sledding, and there's snowball fights, and building snowmen, and building snow structures, and there's so much to do outside in the winter. Let me see there, that our kids are missing out on. There are amazing memories. So in the podcast, if you go down into the show notes, I have got some links to 2 videos. One is a newsreel about a dad that made a nice little snow sled hill in his yard, and he worked and worked on it, and now it's the hit of the neighborhood. And then the other one is about a dad who, at their little neighborhood park, got his snow blower so he could pile up a lot of snow, and then started building a fun sled hill. And how other dads, when they saw what he was doing, all of a sudden he had all these other dads that were just chipping in. That's a great idea. Let me go get my stuff. And they come, and they're all helping him, and they just had a lot of fun. And they knew it was only going to last probably a couple of days, but it was worth it. And it was getting to know your neighbors, knowing the other dads, getting to know the kids. And that's a good thing too, because then you're like, oh, that one's like, oh, oh, that one's a good kid. He's nice. He's being nice to the other kids, right? You're going to get to know everybody and understand and reach out and see maybe who needs a mentor. And it's just a lovely experience when you're out in there. And if someone needs help, you can go do that. And so anyway, I just hope you watch the podcast If you do, please follow, leave a rating, write a review. We're on Rumble, we're on YouTube. So just go and look for us, and we would love to have you be a part of us. So until next week, I'll be here, and I'll remember to hit the record button, and I'll be here on time. So until next week, let's find joy in parenting. See you later, guys. And